Good afternoon, and thank you for taking the time to meet with me to discuss the impact instruction methods have on learner outcomes. The research question that I am exploring is the influence instruction methods have on learner outcomes. This is an area that is of concern for both students and instructors. By exploring the results from both internal learner outcome results and other industry outcomes and studies, it is possible to explore how the use of publisher resources, namely electronic resources or features, can influence the outcomes of the learners. The process of analyzing gaps in our outcomes, we are able to create an environment that aligns our methods to work with the diverse population of learners and instructors to create a reproducible format that increases a measurable change in learner outcomes. The problem that this study will be addressing is to gain an understanding that even within a standardized education system, how the material is delivered and presented will impact the learner outcomes. The analysis of this information after comparison with the results the publishers will be presented to the Dean of Faculty and eventually the Academic Council, each having influence in the instructional platforms and methods that instructors are able to utilize in presenting the material. The utilization of publishers' platforms by instructors has been limited to their familiarity of the platforms at this point in time. The issue is to examine how the learner outcomes are going to be met and how much the results differ based on the choices of the instructor in regards to the instruction materials and methods. By focusing on the outcomes of the learners before and after a change in methods, it is possible to identify what issues the students were experiencing and what impact the additional features included from the publishers had on the results. With that understanding, it will allow for the creation of generalized teaching techniques to generate an effective learner experience for the majority of our students. The types of data that would be most beneficial for my research plan would be learner outcome results, as well as publisher insights and existing studies from other schools. For my study, I will be looking at before and after anonymous aggregate results from assessments in order to detail the impact that the additional features of the publisher platforms have on the learner experience and ultimately the assessment outcomes. I am looking to identify techniques or practices that have the highest positive or negative feedback to the external platform as it relates to the learner outcomes. The focus is on those responses that can be identified from secondary data to determine if the publisher platforms have truly impacted learner outcomes. The research techniques that I will be using are all secondary data, which come from the before and after standardized learner outcome assessments. It will be helpful to identify which features some courses have been able to utilize from the publishers and identify which features are the most influential in the outcomes of the learner. The quantitative results from the learner outcome assessments will assist to identify trends as well as frequency distributions to determine a relationship between the use of publisher features and the learner experience. Ultimately, the outcome and the retention of information by the students. This research proposal is looking at how the tools that the publishers are adding to their assignment platforms will enhance the learning outcomes of our students by comparing our results before and after using the tool with those results provided by the publisher. If we are able to show similar results and improved outcomes as experienced by other schools utilizing the tools, then we can be confident in creating a training program for our instructors to best utilize those tools to provide our students with the ability to not only learn the material, but also retain those skills in order to use it in their future careers, giving them a competitive advantage over others in the job market. I would like to once again thank you for taking the time to listen to my proposal for a research project on instruction methods and its impact on learner outcomes.